workers' comp at one time was pretty simplistic. It's not anymore. It's very complicated. There's a lot of hurdles to go over. There's a lot of I's to dot, T's to cross that most injured workers don't know how to navigate that. But the first report of injury is the first thing that gets filed with the Bureau. The most important thing is you have to have a description of injury. You have to have a diagnosis from a medical provider, and that medical provider has to indicate that diagnosis is such and that diagnosis is causally related to and resulted from the injury you sustained on the job. So that's part of the first process, filing the application and getting that medical report to support your claim. The system is complicated. The opposing side, the TPA is a third-party administration for the employer's representatives, or the employers have representatives, have attorneys who are experienced in this area, and you should have someone experienced as well. You shouldn't be doing this on your own. You don't need an attorney to file a claim. You don't need, a doctor to self-medicate. You don't need a doctor to do certain things, but I don't know if that's wise. Same with workers' comp. So no, you don't need a lawyer, but if you have a lawyer, I'm willing to bet that the outcome is going to be much better than if you try to do it yourself. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that permanent partial that they don't know about, 99.9% of my clients never heard of it. Those are benefits that they're going to get. That's going to be tax-free money that's going to keep their claim open 5 more years. So if they get that award where again, I'm saying 99% of them we're going to get it for, these are unfound monies for them. So they're actually not out of pocket for hiring an attorney because they're going to get money for that benefit that they didn't even know they were entitled to. No one's going to tell them about it. The other thing that's interesting is when clients come in and we get the information and we go online on the Bureau, self-insureds, we actually get an entire file because they self-administer. So many times I see diagnoses of injuries, they're not allowed in the claim. The injured worker thinks, well, I filed a claim, they allowed my claim. Well, did they? They allowed it for this diagnosis, but you got 2 or more diagnoses that if you don't get allowed as part of your claim, they're not going to compensate you, nor are they going to pay for medical treatment. So that happens quite a bit. And again, an injured worker, unrepresented, never knows that. In workers' comp, even though the injured worker was negligent, was at fault, they can pursue and be awarded workers' compensation. Historically, in Ohio, they passed the workers' comp law, I believe 1913. Prior to that, if the injured worker was at fault, they didn't have workers' comp, too bad. However, if the employer was at fault, the injured worker could sue them in a civil action like you sue someone in an automobile accident. So the trade-off was the employer said, hey, we will set up a workers' comp system so you are compensated even if you're at fault or if the employer's at fault. And however, in exchange, you can't sue your employer. So the exchange was immunity for the employer when they're at fault, but benefits to the injured worker if the injured worker's at fault. First of all, do the accident report. Second of all, get the treatment. Obviously, you want to get the treatment, and usually it's an ER or a rapid response because they can't get into their doctor. Then, if you follow up with your doctor in close proximity when it happened, then get a hold of us to file the claim. I wanted to get the treatment first, and then file the claim, and we'll file it for them. And a lot of times we just file the claim, and they allow the claim. They allow it for whatever the injury is. They pay the medical bills. There's no lost time. Then we do nothing. They don't pay us anything until we go after that impairment award. And we get the impairment award. If we're successful, then we're paid based on the success of that award.